Now I invite Dr. Dieter Mutz, Director GIZ, who is also one of the leading personalities in MSW management. Last year when he joined in GIZ, when I met first, he quoted the name of Niri and Dr. Vide, to whom he interacted in Nepal, and he emphasized about municipal solid waste management system. Now, Dr. Dieter Mutz, please.
Thank India, but I came the first time as a professional to India. I was working in Nepal, and at that time was taught before going even to Nepal, if you want to learn something about waste management, you have to go to India. If you want to learn something about biogas, about decentralized biogas, you have to go to India. If you want to learn anything about recycling, you have to go to India. Then I took colleagues, about 15 colleagues from Nepal. We went to Nagpur, we visited Neri, we had about 5 days interaction with Dr. Bide, and I must say we learned a lot. I'm back to India now again after almost 25 years, and I realized there is not so much progress anymore. Of course there's progress, but there are not so much success stories. And as I just learned from Dr. Devota, you have some good examples in India, but those examples are not replicated very often. And the problem is also some even failed. When you look at composting, when you look at incineration, when you look on pyrolysis, not so many technologies are really robust to meet the conditions and the requirements here in India. And also very often there's a failure in the management of different plants in India. I would like to pose some additional questions, which were already mentioned here by Dr. Devota and Dr. Kumar before. And to make it a little bit more illustrative, I brought with me some day-to-day waste materials. The first waste material here is Coca-Cola. We all know it and you're all experts. This is a PET. What are we doing with this PET? Of course, I throw it away and maybe a recycler is coming and picking it up. But the second question is, where will it end? Will it go to the landfill site? Will it go to a waste-to-energy plant? Will it go back to Coca-Cola? Will it go to China or to the textile industry to use it as a fiber for textile, for fleece textile? What will happen actually with this bottle afterwards? Do we have a clear understanding what is the best way how to treat this waste material? Of course it's waste. We all know it's waste. It's not a product, it's waste. But what is the optimum way to deal with this waste afterwards? Of course, a lot of questions. Everybody, if I ask you, maybe you have different answers. What is the best solution? I think it's not the best solution. It always depends on the situation. Another problem maybe which comes along when we talk about PET, you might know that Coca-Cola will introduce now non-fossil fuel bioethanol to 25% substitution of fossil fuel for producing PET in the future. Is this the right approach? That maybe in a couple of years PET is produced completely out of bioethanol. Is this the solution, or should we be more careful using fossil fuels? Again, a question of raw material. Which kind of raw material are we going to use? What kind of raw material is best for later recycling? Going further on, I had banana this morning. Waste. Of course it's waste. What is happening with this waste? Some people say, oh, that's very good composting. But if you look around in Delhi, a lot of waste, especially organic waste, is lying around. Nothing happens with this organic waste. No? Composting would be a good solution. We all know it's a little bit complicated. It's difficult to get it segregated at the source, to bring it to the compost plant, to have a good product, and afterwards also to have a market. Now the people come up and say, that's a very good energy product. Now let's make waste to energy out of it. We go now for biodegradation, not for biodegradation, for anaerobic digestion. We produce biogas. Is this the right approach? Is it really the best solution? And then what we all miss, do we have already also other content in these banana leaves? You might know or not know that banana peels contain a lot of tannins. Tannins could be subtracted from this leaf, from this waste, and could be used then as anti-aging product, for instance, in the pharmaceutical industry. What I want to say is very often we do not really look in beyond the normal view what we have when you say, oh, this we can make compost out of it, we can make biogas out of it. Many products we are throwing away, many products we are just incinerating can be further used for certain products, but we neglect this completely. Phosphorus is another example. No? We completely neglect phosphorus nowadays. We dispose phosphorus, we burn phosphorus, which is not anymore available, and we all know that how important phosphorus will be for our future development. My last product I brought, could have brought much more, but my last product is an old calculator. This calculator I was studying 30 years ago when I used this calculator, old Peach calculator. It's not really waste, but it's stock. I don't use it anymore. It's just lying at home. But I'm sure before I going back to Germany, I will throw it away. Either I give it to some e-waste recyclers or I throw it in my normal trash, and then it might end up at the landfill site in Delhi somewhere. And the question comes again, this calculator has a lot of materials inside. First of all, it's of course a waste material when I throw it out, but how to recycle, how to reuse again all these materials, how these metals inside. And there you can say, oh, in India everything is recycled, but if you look, and we are working since now almost here in India for 7 years in the e-waste recycling sector, not so much metals are really recycled. No? The recycling efficiency in the electronic sector in India is not more than 30%. 70% of the metals are just gone, they are just going down the drain and they are not recycled. So we have to do much more. And we have to do much more because India is growing, India needs more minerals, India needs more metals. And I give you only one figure. At the moment, India is consuming 700,000 tons of copper. This is the figure from 2010. And in the year 2025, in 15 years, this figure will be 5 times as much as it is nowadays. It's almost 3 million tons of copper. You can ask, where's this copper coming from? Of course, you can import it. You can import it from Chile. You can import it from some other countries, maybe even from China. But the question is, what is the dependency, the raw material security of India, depending from import from Chile, about the market prices, or is it not better, is it not more recommendable for India to say, we recycle as much as possible, and if I have such a computer, I do not recycle only 30%, but I go for 98%. And if you look in Europe, when we look at electronic waste, we recycle, or we collect about 70%, and the recycling rate is over 90% of electronic waste material. And this is a challenge. And if I look at all those 3 products, the main problem we have in India is first of all collection. How do we treat waste as a waste? And I participated since I'm here in Delhi in many workshops, and very often now it comes up, oh, waste is not a waste, waste is a resource, and it has a lot of money in the waste. Yes, it has some money, but we also first of all have to say waste is waste, and we have to set up systems which allow us to collect efficiently and in a most appropriate manner our waste. That's the first task. The second task is then, if we have the waste collected, if we have certain waste streams identified, then we have to go ahead and say, what is the optimum way in order to treat that waste so that we have a maximum reintegration of the waste materials into the whole loop of the economy. And we are working at the moment on a project on what we call Resource Initiative for India, because if the development goes ahead, the economic growth continues in India, India will not be in a position anymore without social unrest, without scarcity, to assure sufficient raw materials for the future generations. And I give you one figure why it is important. It's not important, this resource efficiency and secondary raw material efficiency, because of the dependency from import and export. It's also the question of price. I got some data from 2012 from the German production sector. In the German production sector, the prices, the costs for producing products and bringing them to the market, the biggest share is material. 45% of all the prices for products produced in Germany goes to raw material costs. It's not labor, it's not rent, it's not energy. Energy is a very small part of it. We talk about a lot of energy efficiency. No one talks about so much in India about resource efficiency. 45% of all the costs in Germany in the production sector are going to materials. That means in order to be competitive, in order to not be exposed to rising prices of raw materials, you must be more efficient, you must recycle your resources as much as possible, and then only then India will be more competitive on the international market. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dieter Mutz, for giving excellent talk and emphasizing our situation and comparing with the different countries, and also touching some of the important issues like electronic waste management.